Election results are starting to come in. We'll take you to the watch parties of both California candidates for governor.
Students are gathering in the Annenberg lobby to watch the results come in. We'll be there as well.
And local high schoolers are voting too, for the first time.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Live from USC, you're watching Annenberg TV News.
Everyone's saying that we have an impression on the future, that we definitely have to take hold of it and decide what society is going to be doing and what we want to happen.
A record number of voters are still casting their ballots in the 2018 midterm elections. Good evening, I'm Pankey.
And I'm Sofia Hausch. Annenberg Media's Morgan Stevens is here with the latest on some key races. Morgan?
That's right. Tonight is the big night. We're going to take a look at some of the most hotly contested races across the country. Here's what we have so far. As of 5:25, in Georgia, we have Republican Secretary of State Brian Kemp competing against Democrat Stacey Abrams. Right now, the results have Kemp at 62.8% and Abrams at 36.6%. And we're getting word that voting hours have been extended in Atlanta due to long lines. If Abrams wins, she will be the first African-American female governor in the U.S. Another tight race for a Senate seat is in Florida. We have Democratic incumbent Bill Nelson squaring off against Republican Rick Scott. So far, the results have Nelson at 49.9% and Scott at 50.1%, with the 70% of precincts reporting. The governor's race was also at a toss-up heading into Election Day. Republican Congressman Ron DeSantis and Democratic Mayor of Tallahassee, Andrew Gillum, are competing for governor of the Sunshine State. Right now, DeSantis has a 49.6% of the vote, and Gillum has 49.1%, with 70% of the precincts reporting. In the race for U.S. Senate in Tennessee, Republican Marsha Blackburn is battling Democrat Phil Bredesen. So far, we have Blackburn with the lead at 66.8% and Bredesen at 32%, with 3% of precincts reporting. And in Indiana's race for U.S. Senate, Democratic incumbent Joe Donnelly is facing Republican challenger Mike Braun. The results show that Braun is in the lead with 56.5% of the vote, while Donnelly has 39.4% with 37% of precincts reporting. That's all we have for right now. We'll be following the results throughout the evening as they come in, so stay tuned. Back to you, Sophia.
Thanks, Morgan. California's race for governor comes to an end tonight. Democratic candidates and frontrunner Gavin Newsom is holding a watch party in downtown Los Angeles, where Annenberg Media's Trevor Sahaki and Maddie Audley are live awaiting the results. Guys?
That's right, guys. We're live here in downtown LA at the Gavin Newsom Watch Party. I'm Trevor Sahaki here with Madeline Audley, and now this place is huge. They're going to expect about 1,000 people here tonight. Maddie, what do you think we can expect tonight?
Well, I think supporters in this room are extremely confident about Gavin Newsom's chances of pulling ahead of opponent John Cox in this race. And part of the reason is because polls are suggesting he has a healthy lead. Just recently, the Public Policy Institute of California showed that 49% of voters in the state support Newsom, with 38% supporting Cox, those remaining voters undecided. And that is a healthy margin moving into this race.
Now, speaking of healthy margins, Newsom has also outspent Cox nearly 2-to-1 in ad campaigns. They haven't done any TV debates, they've done one radio debate, but Newsom's lead in just spending alone has been dramatic. Now, he spent $28 million, and this is very clear. Like you said, the polls have shown he's doing fine. He's not going to have a problem tonight.
And I think one of the reasons that everyone here is so confident is because of his political past in the state of California, most recently as lieutenant governor under Jerry Brown since 2011. Before that, he skyrocketed national attention as the mayor of San Francisco from 2004 to 2010. So we'll have more updates coming for you later on. He is expected to speak here. For now, reporting live in downtown Los Angeles, Madeline Audley, Trevor Sahaki. We'll send it back to you.
Thanks, guys. Here at USC, students and faculty are watching the results come in at a live party in the Wallace Annenberg Hall lobby. Roy is out there now. How's it looking, Roy?
We're working with the Center for the Political Future, the Unruh Institute of Politics, CCLP at Annenberg, a bunch of different orgs to put together this event. Just to promote voting, kind of reward people that voted today, have this be a celebration of democracy and really like watching the results come in together, and it be a celebration of everything that the semester has brought in terms of political engagement.
John Cox.
Sorry about that audio issue. But we're going to toss it right now. Republican gubernatorial candidate John Cox is waiting for the results at a watch party in San Diego. Annenberg Media's Angel Vizcarra and Keith DeMolder are there live. Guys?
Thanks so much, Roy and Sophia. We are here from the U.S. Grant Hotel in beautiful San Diego for the watch party for John Cox, the Republican candidate for governor here in the state of California. Happens to be a big red ship in a gigantic Democratic blue sea here in the state of California. But he's leading an armada with a couple of great Republican candidates all over the state. I'm here with Angel Vizcarra. I'm Keith DeMolder, by the way. Angel, a huge night tonight, but not a lot of people out here in the U.S. Grant Hotel. I'm sure they're out voting.
No need for the Republican folks to worry. These seats will be filled here in downtown San Diego. Doors plan to open at around 8 p.m. Right now, the scene's pretty awesome. We got some TVs in the back with results coming in for the election. And around 8 p.m., like I mentioned, when polls start to close, that's when this hotel is going to get full of Republicans who are hoping that a big night tonight for the Red Party will come through, especially in the governor's chair.
Also a big night for a couple of the propositions on the ballot here in California. A couple ones that John Cox is very steadfast on. Immigration, a huge issue. Also environmental policies. Angel, what are John Cox's stances on those issues?
Well, when you look at Cox and the stances that he brings, you have to look at his background. He has a big background in the field of real estate. And when you look at that last thing you mentioned, his environmental policies, a lot lessened because he wants to be California. He wants to lead them in an age of building homes. So, and then immigration, obviously, he's very harsh there. So we'll have more definitely tonight on Annenberg TV News.
John Cox looking to build homes, but also looking to build a lead tonight and potentially get that governor's chair. Either way, we have to go here from the U.S. Grant Hotel here in San Diego. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, guys. Over 35% of California voters are expected to submit ballots by mail. This will be the 8th consecutive statewide election where a majority have submitted mail-in ballots. Some say it doesn't matter how you vote, just as long as you vote.
I think it's important to exercise that right. I think it's important for people to have their voice heard, to take part in society, to come together at least one day and say, this is what we think, this is how we want to live.
Near campus, the Hoover Recreational Center was open today for voters who prefer to submit their ballots in person.
We all have a voice that we should be using, and I feel like it's just important for us to use our voices to, speak what we believe is right and vote for what we think is right. So, I'm glad that we have that opportunity here.
If you say, oh, someone else will do it, and if everyone thinks that, nothing's going to change. So I think it's just really important that you go out there so that the changes you want to see made are accomplished.
Dorsey High School students went to the polls today. For some, it was their first time voting. Annenberg Media's Hafsa Fatima talked with teachers and students about why young voting matters for young people.
These students at Dorsey High in the Crenshaw district are missing class for a good reason: casting their first vote. Educators at Dorsey High help students research each proposition on the ballot.
Each student was responsible for doing research. So when we received the sample ballot, we went through the sample ballot, we went through each proposition where they had to figure out what each proposition was about, as well as the pros of the proposition, the cons of the proposition, and then for them to make a decision on their own.
Dorsey High School has begun programs to teach young voters that their voice matters. Rent control and homelessness are some of the key propositions they'll be voting on.
We have a lot of homeless people out here, and they need homes. And if they don't have homes, they're out here sleeping on the streets, and they're in the way of stuff. And we just need them to be able to have their own home and be safe and be able to get food and stuff like that.
Students are now encouraging others to take action and vote.
And all I could do, especially with social media, that's big platform, so I could tell my friends, hey, share this, let your friends know, let your family know. I tell my mom, she posts on Facebook, we do what we got to do.
Dorsey High School also arranged for younger students to accompany first-time voters at the polls. Organizers say they want to prepare future voters for the 2020 elections. For Annenberg Media, I'm Hafsa Fatima.
Political action committees in the LA area are calling voters from phone banks to remind them where to vote and when the polls close. Alex Chan talked to volunteers in Culver City and Westwood.
They can hear you now. It's crunch time for phone banks, like the one set up by Sea Change, a Democratic political action committee based in Culver City. They know many voters have been to the polls or mailed in their ballots, but they want to make sure they get every possible vote.
I think it's a reminder that, if you sort of sit back and let other people handle their civic duty and aren't engaged, then things can turn very quickly in ways that might not be great for you and your family.
It doesn't look like a lot of people on the phone, but Mariah Craven says for every one person calling, there are likely thousands more in the area doing the same. More than 50 people were making calls from the West Side Democratic headquarters near UCLA.
Since 9 a.m., dozens of volunteers have come in to fill these tables. Callers say the biggest challenge with phone banking today is reaching live people, since most are either at work or they've already voted.
A big one is people saying they're too busy to vote, or they don't know where the polling place is. And for those, everyone here, everyone that's phone banking is equipped with the information.
These voters are in high spirits. They even ring bells for each live person a caller reaches.
A lot of these races could be decided literally by a couple hundred votes or fewer.
These voters will be calling until the polls close at 8 p.m. because every vote could make a difference. For Annenberg Media, I'm Alex Chan.
A local shelter is doing its part to make sure all residents have a chance to take part in today's midterm elections. Angel Vizcarra spoke to voters on Skid Row about exercising their right to vote.
Voters across Los Angeles are heading to the polls today. There are polling stations at universities, parks, and even some places you might not expect, like Skid Row.
They're people too, and their vote matters. So giving people the ability to have that option is definitely very important.
The Midnight Mission runs a polling station in the heart of a homeless community in downtown Los Angeles.
And just because they're out here on the street and marginalized and may feel lost and forgotten, we want to remind them and everybody else that that's not the case, that they are people too, then their vote matters, their vote counts.
Timothy McEnroe is homeless, but he says he never misses the opportunity to vote.
I wanted to vote, and I found the ballots. I asked questions, where do I vote at? And they said, go in here. It's the United States of America, and that's how we get our candidates elected.
Now, in order to be a voter in this year's midterm elections, there's a short list of requirements. First, you need to be a U.S. citizen. Second, you need to be a resident of the state of California. Third, you cannot have any current felonies or charges against you. And fourth, the state of California cannot have declared you mentally unstable. And one thing that you don't need to vote is a permanent address. So even for folks here in Skid Row, voting is fair game. The Midnight Mission also helps register voters. People without a home can use the address of a shelter.
And the community gives their part, even under their circumstances. Everyone here deserves the right to be able to vote for that.
Have to vote provisionally.
This morning, dozens showed up at the mission to exercise that right. Many submitted a provisional ballot. Those ballots are evaluated by officials before being counted. For Annenberg Media, I'm Angel Vizcarra.
We're monitoring election results and we'll bring you the latest next.
A fight between a teacher and a student went viral, and now people in the community are taking sides. We'll show you why.
And a USC professor is examining a unique treatment for cancer. We'll be right back.
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 5 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Glazer.
As you can see, students are crowding around the Annenberg lobby to watch results as they come in and to listen to political experts from the UNRWA Institute of Politics weigh in on the race. We have more election results for you right now. Here we have an update for two tight governor's races. In Georgia, with 10% of precincts reporting, Republican Brian Kemp is ahead with 64.4% of votes, while Democrat Stacey Abrams trails at 35%. And in Florida, with nearly 2/3 of precincts reporting, Republican Ron DeSantis is in the lead. Democrat Andrew Gillum is behind. There are less than 100,000 votes between them. We will continue to provide coverage as more results trickle in throughout the night. Back to you guys.
A Maywood teacher is thanking his supporters just 4 days after being arrested for punching a student. Annenberg Media's Noel Medina shows us the viral video that sparked very different reactions in the community.
Confrontation in the classroom. A fight erupted between a teacher and his student after a verbal clash escalated into a physical altercation. A classmate started recording before the student involved hurled racial slurs and a basketball at the teacher. That's when 64-year-old Marston Riley punched the student.
I've seen various videos of the student actually starting the problem, but I feel like the teacher could have handled it another way.
The community has mixed feelings about who's at fault.
I hope they punish the student so that other students will know that, no, don't do this. Don't make this a thing, a trend to start disrespecting teachers like this.
Riley was arrested Friday on suspicion of child abuse, but today he's a free man after posting $50,000 bail. Plus, a GoFundMe page started by Riley's former colleague has now raised more than $100,000.
I want to thank you for supporting me. You are a blessing.
Annenberg Media tried talking to administrators inside of Maywood Academy High School, but they declined to comment. The school district, however, issued this statement. We will continue our work to make each school a safe and welcoming learning environment for students and to provide teachers and staff with the support they deserve. Riley is scheduled to be arraigned November 30th. For Annenberg Media, I'm Noel Medina.
We sure have heard a lot about the political climate already this show.
Let's toss it to Shari for our regular climate. Shari?
Well, Roy, I'm happy you said that because it actually is a really great political climate. So I hope that you actually took advantage of this today, as it has been nothing but sunny weather and at a good 71 degrees currently. Taking a look across Southern California, it's looking really good here. We have in Big Bear 42 degrees, but everywhere else it's in the range of the 50s and the 60s. Now, moving along to the valley, here we have in Thousand Oaks 88, and it's about the same in Simi Valley, but in Northridge, a hot 90 degrees. And right here in LA, we have about the same, bringing in all 80s and 90s, and right here on USC campus, 88 degrees. Now let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. As you see on Thursday, 75 degrees, and it's about the same all throughout the week. We're talking 70s all across, but on Saturday, it does hit about 79 degrees, and all throughout the evening, it's all in the 50s across the week.
Thank you, Shari.
Thanks for that. A new grant will help a USC professor study whether exercise can help cancer patients recover from chemotherapy. Reporter Ali Dukelow shows us how the research could reduce the side effects of cancer treatment.
Joe Vega has survived cancer 3 times in the past 10 years.
So for myself, the multiple times that I had chemotherapy, I was just exhausted. Extremely exhausted.
One USC professor is trying to see if exercise can help relieve that exhausted feeling many cancer patients experience during chemotherapy.
There are a number of side effects related to either a cancer diagnosis, cancer treatment that the patients have to then withstand for the rest of their lives. And
This is a USC Division of Biokinesiology and Physical Therapy's exercise center, where patients in the study will be participating in high-intensity, short-interval exercises.
and interval training has been shown to be very effective at targeting cognition. And so now we're in non-cancer populations. So now we're applying it to a cancer population.
Student assistant Kyuan Lee says the study is showing promise.
Every time I work with the cancer patients, they are always giving us a good feedback that they really feel better or they are really improving their health.
Vega says exercise has helped him recover after chemotherapy.
For me, walking is extremely therapeutic. I walk constantly on a daily basis.
He even won second place in a 5K walk.
It's a wonderful feeling in so many ways. Emotionally, I get back with myself. I get to free my mind.
Professor Dieli Conright says she hopes her study will improve the quality of life for more cancer patients. For Annenberg Media, I'm Ali Dukelow.
Let's take a break from the election stuff.
Yeah, basketball is finally back tonight. Let's toss it to our sports anchors Robby Aronson and Anwar Stetson to find out more.
Basketball is finally back. We'll provide a live score update of the women's game at the Galen Center. And the men take on Robert Morris tonight. We'll see what's going on there.
And of course, we'll talk about football as the Trojans take on Cal at home.
Recently, our country has witnessed catastrophic devastation. Hurricanes and flooding have upended lives and livelihoods.
Across this great country, Americans have answered the call.
That special calling that compels us, when others are down, to step up and do whatever it takes.
America's at her best when, against all odds, we come together and lift each other up.
Please donate to oneamericaappeal.org. America needs you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Listen, I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you judge me for having a problem. No one is going to know that I need help. I need help. I know that no one is going to judge me for having a problem. I realize that I'm not perfect, but it all really started to change because you listen.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Robby, I am so hyped that basketball is back tonight. I'm getting tired of talking about football. Basketball, it's my favorite sport.
I like the way they dribble up and down the court.
Let's take a look at tonight's games. The women's basketball team is coming off of a 20-11 record last season where they didn't qualify for the NCAA tournament. Tonight, they open their campaign at home against UC Riverside.
Let's take a look at that game. It's halftime, and the score is all tied up at 30 apiece. Minion Moore is off to a hot start with 4 points and 10 rebounds. The game still has a lot of time left, but Riverside is keeping it close with the Trojans.
Let's take a look at the first few games of the season. After the game tonight, the women of Troy go on the road against Long Beach State and then come back to the Galen Center to face UCSB. Now let's head to the men. They tip off their season tonight at the Galen Center following the end of the women's game against UC Riverside. The Trojans play Robert Morris University at 8 p.m.
Going through the game plan, just figuring out who they are, going through their plays, and just making sure we're right and healthy. Worked hard all year, all summer, and now I'm ready to go.
Disappointing 2017-18 season, the Trojans are looking to start this season off right with a win. With help from the freshman class, the team is poised to potentially make the NCAA tournament. Robert Morris has a mix of vets and fresh faces with strong defensive play, which should make for an interesting game against the Trojans' powerful offense.
The Trojans continue their homestead against Vanderbilt on Sunday and Stetson on Wednesday. And then for football, the team returns home after a successful trip in Corvallis. They hope that some of their momentum will snowball this homecoming matchup against the California Bears.
At practice, the Trojans are preparing for the Bears offense, who narrowly lost against Washington State last weekend and are definitely hungry for a win on the road. Both teams head into the matchup at 5-4. The Trojans have been victorious in all 13 of their last matchups against the Golden Bears and hope to continue their streak on Saturday. The game kicks off at 7:30 at the Coliseum.
Now it's prediction time. Sorry we were unable to do our predictions last week, but Anwar, I know I would have gotten it right had we done it. So let's take a look at the Cal game. The Trojans are back on track after winning last week. SC are usually pretty good at home, and I think they'll continue their home streak. They disappointed me last time I called them, but Cal lost to UCLA. So I'm going to take the Trojans winning 213 in this one.
Cal's a weird one, Robbie. I mean, the Pac-12, it's an any given Saturday conference. You got to be prepared. They almost lost to Washington State, but they, again, they got destroyed by UCLA. So we have to be on the A game today. SC 38, Cal 28 this Saturday. Still predicting a W. Well, that closes down our football predictions for the season. Personally, I can't wait to start on basketball.
Me too.
That's all we got for sports. Roy and Sophia, send it back to you guys.
The midterm results are continuing to come in.
Another update when we come right back.
Hey guys, Danny Trejo here. There was going to be a whole song and dance routine about how you should wait your turn to enter the train. But they got me, Danny Trejo, to talk to you instead. Look, when you don't wait your turn to enter the train, it's rude and potentially dangerous. And believe me, I know a thing or two about rude and dangerous. I'm Danny Trejo. Don't be like rude, dude. Be kind, like super kind. Excuse me.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Let's toss it over to JP Dabu and Gabby Gonta for a look at what's coming up tonight.
Thanks, guys. Results show that 2 House seats have flipped from Republican to Democrat, 1 in Florida and 1 in Virginia. Polls have closed in nearly half of the country, and Gabby and I will be updating you guys more on the midterm elections as the night rolls along.
That's right. Make sure to tune into our Facebook Live coverage from 7 to 10 for more results, watch parties, and reactions. Our Facebook is at USC Annenberg Media. And feel free to share your comments. Roy and Sophia, back to you.
I just want to know, did everybody vote?
Yes, of course. Got up bright and early this morning.
I voted. I got my stickers.
Sure.
That's good. I voted.
Nice sticker there. Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone here at Annenberg Media, I'm Roy Pankey.
And I'm Sofia Hausch. You can watch us on the web at uscannenbergmedia.com. Good night.